The champagne flute slipped from my fingers like a betrayal I couldn't hold on to, exploding in a spray of crystal shards and golden fizz across the polished hardwood of the rehearsal dinner hall. Every head in the room snapped toward us. Family? Friends? The kind of people who'd flown in from across the country for this picture-perfect Seattle wedding weekend, their faces a mosaic of shock and forced smiles. But all I could see was Ethan, my brother, his tuxedo sleeve brushing mine as he leaned in too close, his breath hot against my ear. "I can't marry her, Jack," he whispered, the words slicing through the murmur of violins like a knife through fog. "Not when it's you. It's always been you." His hand gripped my forearm, fingers digging in with a desperation that mirrored the storm raging in my chest. And in that suspended heartbeat, the world tilted. The fairy lights strung above the long oak tables blurred into halos, the scent of rosemary roasted lamb and fresh peonies turning cloying in my throat. Emily, with her effortless laugh and sun-kissed waves of auburn hair, froze mid-conversation at the head table, her champagne glass hovering like a guillotine. She was the one everyone loved, the one who'd planned this whole affair down to the monogrammed napkins, the one I'd convinced myself deserved him more than anyone. Especially me. I yanked my arm free, the sting of his touch lingering like a brand. "What the hell are you saying?" My voice came out raw, a gravelly rasp that cut through the polite chatter dying around us. Guests shifted in their seats, Mom's fork clattering against her plate, Dad's napkin crumpling in his fist, but I didn't care. Not when Ethan's eyes, those stormy gray eyes that had always pulled me under like Puget Sound tides, locked onto mine with a plea that shattered every wall I'd built. We'd grown up in this rain-soaked corner of the Pacific Northwest, two boys in a drafty craftsman house on Queen and Hill, where the evergreens whispered secrets to the wind and the Space Needle pierced the clouds like a needle in fog. Ethan was 3 years older, my shadow and my shield. He'd been the one to shove snowballs down my jacket during our first flurries, the one who taught me to skip stones across Lake Union until our fingers pruned blue. High school blurred into college for me at UW, him chasing finance degrees in New York. But we'd always circled back, Thanksgivings heavy with turkey and tension, summers where we'd hike the Olympics and pretend the world was just us against the bears. And then Emily crashed into his life like a meteor. She was a graphic designer from Portland, all sharp wit and vintage dresses, the kind of woman who made family brunches feel like magazine spreads. They met at a tech conference in Austin, ironic, since Ethan hated barbecue, and within months, he was calling her his anchor. I watched it unfold from afar, nursing beers at dive bars in Capitol Hill, telling myself it was good. He deserved normal stability. A life that didn't involve the sideways glances we'd learned to ignore since puberty hit and the dreams started, fuzzy, feverish things I'd wake from sweating, his name on my lips like a curse. But tonight, under the chandeliers of this overpriced venue overlooking Elliott Bay, with the fairies cutting ghost paths through the dusk, he'd cracked open the vault. "Stop," I hissed, steering him toward the French doors before Mom could launch into damage control. The cool November air slapped us as we stumbled onto the terrace, the city lights winking like distant fires. Rain misted our faces, but he didn't pull away when I shoved him against the stone balustrade. "You're drunk?" I accused, though we both knew it was a lie. "1 glass of Uve, tops." His tie hung loose, shirt unbuttoned at the collar, revealing the faint scar from that biking accident when we were kids, The one I'd stitched up with fishing line in our backyard because Dad was too wasted to drive. I'm not. His laugh was bitter, echoing off the water below. I've been drunk on this for years. On you. Every time I came home, every late-night call when you were bombing midterms. Good. I thought marrying her would fix it. Make it go away. My stomach twisted. A knot of fury and something darker. Tweeter. Uncoiling low. Fix what? That you're my brother? That this? I gestured wildly between us. The city sprawling indifferent below is fucked up beyond repair? The word hung there. Ugly and true. In America, land of the free and all that jazz, we still whispered about things like this. Incest wasn't just taboo, it was a grenade in the family photo album. He reached for me again, slower this time, his palm cupping my jaw with a tenderness that buckled my knees. I love you, Jackson. Not like before. Not like brothers. I love you the way that keeps me up at night, staring at the ceiling in her bed, wishing it was yours. The confession landed like a rogue wave, dragging me under. I wanted to punch him, to kiss him, to run until my lungs burned up those steep Seattle streets. Instead, I just stood there, rain soaking through my button-down, as Emily's voice pierced the night from the doorway. Ethan? What's going on? Her silhouette framed in the warm glow, arms crossed like a shield. The guests inside were pretending not to stare, but I felt their eyes like brands. This was supposed to be the calm before the storm, the rehearsal where toasts flowed and vows were practiced under starlit projections. Not this. Not us unraveling in public. Threads of blood and bone pulling taut. Ethan dropped his hand, but his gaze stayed on me, fierce and unyielding. We need to talk. She stepped forward, heels clicking like accusations. Talk? Or is this some bachelor party prank gone wrong? Her eyes flicked to me, narrowing with that intuitive hurt only women like her carried, like she'd sensed the fracture lines all along but plastered over them with Pinterest boards and therapy apps. I backed away, hands up. This isn't, I didn't, words failed, tangled in the lie I'd lived for years. Protecting him. Protecting us. From what? From this moment? Where the truth tasted like saltwater and regret. Wait, Ethan called. But I was already moving, weaving through the terrace furniture, the city hum swallowing my footsteps. The elevator ride down was a blur of mirrored walls reflecting a man I barely recognized, hair slicked by rain, eyes wild with the ghost of his whisper. The streets of Belltown pulsed with Friday night energy, food trucks slinging ramen under neon, couples laughing arm in arm toward Pike Place. I hailed a cab, the driver eyeing my drenched state like yesterday's news. Capitol Hill, I muttered, sinking into the vinyl seat. The radio crooned some indie track about lost love, and I pressed my forehead to the cool window, watching the skyline recede. How had we gotten here? From backyard forts to this precipice, where one whisper could torch everything. My phone buzzed, text from Mom, what happened? Call me. From Emily, we need to talk. All of us. And Ethan, please. Don't run. I meant it. I powered it off, the screen going dark like a slammed door. The cab dropped me at my apartment, a cramped walk-up above a tattoo parlor, where the walls thrummed with bass from the bar below. I stripped out of my wet clothes, the fabric pooling like shed skin, and collapsed onto the futon. Sleep wouldn't come. Just replays, his hand on my jaw. The way his thumb had brushed my lip. Accidental or not. Morning light filtered gray through the blinds, carrying the scent of espresso from the cafe downstairs. I dragged myself up, brewed a pot strong enough to strip paint, and stared at the engagement photo on my fridge, Ethan and Emily at Golden Gardens. Her head on his shoulder, him smiling that easy grin. But all of it. Or half-truths. Maybe. He'd loved her. In the safe way. The way that let him pretend. A knock rattled the door, insistent, familiar. I knew before I opened it. Ethan stood there, still in his tux pants, shirt on, eyes red-rimmed. Check. Go back, I cut him off, blocking the threshold. Fix it with her. This was a mistake. It wasn't. He pushed inside, the door clicking shut behind him like a verdict. The apartment felt smaller with him in it. Church. Like the air before a lightning strike. I've been fighting this since we were teens. Remember that summer in the cabin? When you kissed that guy from camp and came home crying because he ghosted you? I held you all night? And it switched something in me. I remembered. The Olympic Peninsula. Crickets chorusing outside the window. His arms around me solid as oak. I'd chalked it up to brotherly comfort. But now, that was pity. Ethan. Not. No. He closed the distance, backing me against the kitchen counter, his body heat a live wire. It was the night I knew I was broken. Because I wanted to be the one you cried for. The one you'd choose. My breath hitched, pulse thundering in my ears. This close. I could smell his cologne, cedar and salt, mixed with a faint trace of last night's rain. We're blood. This ends us. Dad, they disown us. The whole damn town. Let them. His voice cracked, but his resolve didn't. He leaned in, forehead to mine. The intimacy a gut punch. I'd burn it all for one real chance with you. The words hung. A dare. And in that sliver of space between us, with the city waking beyond the walls, I felt the pull, the gravity I'd denied since we were kids chasing fireflies in the backyard. But Emily's face flashed. Her trust a casualty I couldn't bear. What about her? I whispered, hating how my hand found his waist, fingers curling into fabric. He flinched. I called it off. At dawn. She's packing. Guilt crashed over me, sharp as shards. You bastard. Yeah. His lips ghosted mine. Not quite a kiss. A promise. But I'm yours. We didn't move for what felt like hours. Breaths sinking in the quiet. The world outside churned on, commuters hustling to offices, baristas calling orders, but in here, time fractured. When we finally pulled apart, the sun had climbed, gilding the Space Needle gold. We can't just. We can. He cupped my face again. Sure now. Start small. A walk. Like old times. But more. I nodded, the dam breaking in slow tears. Okay. But as he left to face the wreckage, Mom's voicemails, Dad's silence, Emily's flight out, I knew small was a lie. This was a chasm, and we were jumping blind. The days blurred into a tense limbo. Family dinners turned interrogations, Mom's eyes probing over pot roast. Dad grunting about family sticking together. Emily vanished to Portland. Her text to me curt, tell him I wish him well. But this hurts. Gil nod. But so did the stolen moments, Ethan crashing on my couch. Our fingers brushing over takeout boxes. The air thick with unspoken hungers. One night, 2 weeks in, we hiked Discovery Park at dusk. The trails mud-slick underfoot. Salt air whipped our faces as we crested the bluff. The sound stretching endless. He stopped, turning to me with that look, the one that undid me. I love you. For real. This time, I kissed him. Salt in need. The world fading to just us. But as his hands roamed, pulling me closer, a rustle in the underbrush snapped us apart. Footsteps. The jogger, oblivious, pounding past. Paranoia spiked, eyes everywhere in this town of whispers. Back home, tangled in sheets that smelled of him, doubts crept. What if they find out? I murmured into his neck. Then we fight. His voice was steel, but his hold trembled. Lies we told ourselves, fragile as dawn. Winter clamped down on Seattle like a vice. The skies dumping relentless sheets of rain that turned streets into rivers and moods into mirrors of the gray. Ethan and I navigated the fallout in fits and starts, secret coffees at tucked-away spots in Fremont. Where the troll under the bridge seemed less monstrous than our truth, midnight drives up to Snoqualmie Falls. The roar drowning our confessions. But the city, for all its progressive veneer, had ears. Whispers slithered through our circles. Did you hear about Ethan and Emily? And now he's shacked up with? Can't be. Mom called it a phase, her voice brittle over the line as she stirred soup in her kitchen 2 miles away. He's always looked up to you. Too much. Maybe. Give it time, he'll come around. Dad said nothing. Just left voicemails about manning up, his construction boots echoing in the background like accusations. Emily? Radio silence. Until a package arrived at my door, her key to Ethan's old place. Wrapped in a note scrawled on watercolor paper. I saw it coming. The way he lit up around you. Be gentle with him, and yourself. Her grace gutted me. Betrayal's sharpest edge wasn't the act, it was the forgiveness I didn't deserve. I'd enabled this. Hadn't I? The sidelong glances at barbecues. The inside jokes that lingered too long. All those years. I'd buried my own ache under layers of denial. Dating women who blurred into forgettable nights. Blaming the booze when dreams of Ethan surfaced. One evening, as sleet pelted the windows of my apartment, he showed up with pizza from Pagliacci's, our ritual from college days, and a bottle of bourbon that promised oblivion. We ate cross-legged on the floor, the box between us like a barrier, laughing about the time we'd snuck into a Mariners game and got ejected for mooning the umpire. But the laughter faded, bourbon warming our veins, and soon his head was in my lap, fingers tracing patterns on my thigh. Remember the road trip to Yellowstone? He murmured, eyes half-lidded. We were 18 and 21. Dad's old truck breaking down in Montana. Slept in the bed under the stars. Too broke for motels. I threaded my fingers through his hair. The memory vivid, bison silhouettes against the Milky Way. His body curled against mine for warmth. You snored like a freight train. He chuckled, shifting to straddle my hips. The pizza forgotten. And you hogged the blanket. His weight pinned me, solid and right, lips brushing my collarbone. Heat flared. Urgent. As hands explored, mine under his shirt, mapping the ridges of muscle earned from gym obsessions, his dipping lower, teasing the waistband of my jeans. We made love there on the rug, slow at first, then frantic, bodies remembering what words couldn't teach. Gasps echoed off the walls, the rain a symphony outside. Afterward, slick and spent, he traced my ribs with lazy fingers. This is us. Real. But reality intruded at dawn, a pounding on the door like Judgment Day. I bolted up, heart hammering, Ethan groaning beside me. Ignore it, he mumbled. But the knocks persisted, evolving into a key scraping the lock. My spare. Goddamn it. Mom burst in, umbrella dripping, face a thundercloud. She stopped dead at the sight of us, sheets tangled, Ethan's arms slung possessively over my waist. Jesus Christ, she breathed, hand flying to her mouth. The room spun, humiliation hot in my cheeks. Mom, I started, scrambling for pants, but she waved me off, eyes glassy. Don't. She sank onto the armchair, the one with the faded mariner's throw, and buried her face in her hands. How long? Ethan sat up, sheet pooling at his waist, unashamed. Years. Buried it for years. She looked up, devastation carving lines deeper than her laugh lines. Your father. He'll never, a sob choked her. I'd always seen Mom as unbreakable, single mom vibes before it was trendy. Waitressing doubles to fund our little league fees. But this was her boys. Her pride. Twisting into something she couldn't frame on the mantel. It's not a choice, I said softly, kneeling before her, still half naked. It's who we are. She reached out, cupping my cheek, thumb brushing a tear I hadn't noticed. I know, baby. I know. But the words cracked, and she pulled away. Emily called me last night. Said you'd stolen her future. Is that what this is? Theft? Ethan flinched like she'd slapped him. No. Good. I love her, like a sister. Maybe. He's my heart. Mom stood, gathering her coat like armor. Fix this. Or lose everything. The door clicked shut, softer than a slam, but it echoed like one. We dressed in silence, the apartment air thick with regret. She'll come around, Ethan said, but doubt laced his tone. He left for a shower at his place, still half-packed from the wedding that never was, and I wandered to the kitchen, brewing coffee that tasted like ash. Work dragged that day. I slung lattes at the indie bookstore cafe in Ballard, steaming milk while hipsters debated Vonnegut. My phone stayed dark, no updates from Homefront. But as closing neared, a text from an unknown number, we need to meet. Emily. My gut twisted. Betrayal's echo. Or closure. I agreed to neutral ground, a quiet bar in Finney Ridge. The kind with exposed brick and craft IPAs. She arrived early, nursing a gin and tonic, her usual vibrance dimmed, hair pulled back, eyes shadowed like she'd cried through her makeup. Thanks for coming, she said, voice steady but thin. I won't keep you long. I'm so sorry. She arched a brow. Wry smile not reaching her eyes. Yeah. Me too. For not seeing it sooner, she sipped, ice clinking like tiny accusations. The rehearsal dinner. It was there, in his eyes. The way he looked at you when you laughed at that dumb toast. Like you hung the moon. Guilt clawed deeper. We never meant to hurt you, but you did. Her gaze sharpened, pinning me. And now, what's the plan? Play house until the family implodes? Run off to San Francisco where no one bats an eye? I swallowed, the bar's murmur fading. I don't know. Day by day. She nodded, unsurprised. Ethan's always been the dreamer. You're the fixer. But this? You can't fix blood. She slid an envelope across the table, photos, glossy prints from their engagement shoot. Him gazing past the lens, toward some unseen horizon. Probably, in his mind. Burn these. Or keep them. Make it right. I pocketed it. Throw tight. Why are you being so kind? Because I loved him enough to let go. She stood, hugging me quick, scent of lavender and resolve. And because I think, deep down, you too deserve this mess. Alone with my pint, the foam settling like dust, her words sank in. Kindness as the cruelest cut. Betrayal wasn't just Ethan's whisper, it was the ripple. The lives we'd upended. That night, Ethan came over with takeout Thai, pad CW, extra limes, our comfort carb, and we ate on the fire escape, city lights twinkling below like fallen stars. He told me about his day, quitting his soul-sucking finance gig, applying to a nonprofit in Tacoma focused on queer youth housing. Starting fresh, he said, lime juice glistening on his lips. I kissed it off, the tang sharp and alive. Proud of you, but as we tumbled inside, urgency building, a call shattered the mood. Did Ethan answered on speaker, voice braced. Hey, pup, you two think this is a game? Dad's gravel tone boomed. Unfiltered rage. Ruining your mother's holidays? The neighbors talking? You're the oldest, act like it. It's not a game, Ethan shot back, hand finding mine under the table. It's love. But that's sick. Twisted. The line crackled. Pause heavy. Don't come home. Not like this. Silence swallowed us. Ethan's grip crushing. He'll come around, I lied, pulling him close. But the fracture widened. Family fault lines quaking. Weeks ground on. Holidays looming like storm clouds. We decorated my tree with mismatched ornaments, his Metallica keychain, my faded Seahawk stocking, creating our own traditions. Sex became sanctuary, slow mornings where he'd wake me with lips on my spine. Afternoons lost in the sheets, exploring edges we'd only dreamed. You're beautiful, he'd murmur, tracing freckles across my shoulders. And for moments, the world shrank to us. But cracks spiderwebbed. Friends drifted, awkward texts. Need space excuses. A coworker cornered me at the bookstore, heard about you and Ethan. Wild. Judgment veiled as curiosity. And Mom's silence grew. Broken only by a single card, thinking of you both. Blues. No invitation for Christmas. Climax brewed on Christmas Eve. Rain lashing as we drove to Mom's anyway. Uninvited. The house glowed with lights. wreath on the door mocking our resolve. She answered, apron dusted with flour, eyes wary. You came. Couldn't stay away, Ethan said, hugging her stiff form. Inside, tension hummed like bad wiring. Dad hulkied in the recliner, beer in hand, gaze averted. Dinner was a minefield, small talk about weather, anything but us. Until pie. When Dad erupted. This ends now. Get help. Therapy. Whatever. But not under my roof. Ethan shoved back his chair. Or what? You'll pretend we don't exist. You're my sons. Dad roared. Face purple. Not. This. Mom intervened. Tears streaming. Enough. They're happy. So. Isn't that enough? Happy. To. Hello. This'll destroy them. The argument spilled into the yard. Voices carrying over the fence, neighbors' curtains twitching. I pulled Ethan back. Rain soaking us anew. Let's go. In the truck. He punched the dash. Knuckles splitting. Fuck him. But sobs racked him. Raw and childlike. I drove us to the waterfront, parking where the Olympics loomed dark across the black water. We sat. Engines off. His head on my shoulder. I can't lose you too, he whispered. You won't. I kissed his temple, tasting salt. But doubt gnawed. Was this love? Or just defiance? New Year's brought fragile peace, Mom's tentative lunches. Dad's grunts softening to nods. Emily even texted well wishes. A bridge mended in pixels. We rang in the year on my roof. Fireworks bursting over the sound. His arms around me as resolutions whispered, stay. Fight. Yet under the glitter, shadows lingered. A letter from Ethan's old firm, lawsuit threats over moral clauses in his contract. Whispers at my cafe turned to outright stares. And one night, as we lay entwined, he confessed, I saw a therapist. Alone. She says it's trauma, Dad's absentee bullshit bonding us wrong. My heart stuttered. And I told her to fuck off. But it rang false. This feels right. Did it? In the quiet hours. Doubts clawed. Were we lovers? Or lifelines to a fractured past? Spring teased with cherry blossoms along the Burke-Gilman Trail. And we biked it one Sunday. Wind in our faces. Pretending normalcy. At Gasworks Park. Amid rusting relics. He proposed, not rings, but a pact. Move in. Officially. Build this. I said yes. The word light as kites overhead. But as we pedaled home, a call from Mom, your father's had a heart scare. Come now. The hospital smelled of bleach and fear. Fluorescent hum underscoring the beeps. Dad lay pale in the bed. Tube snaking. Mom gripping his hand. He looked at us, really looked, and rasped. Sorry. For everything. Ethan broke first. Collapsing into the chair. Tears flowing. We love you. Dad. A nod. Weak but real. Love you too. Both. Healing's first fracture sealed. Tentative. But betrayal's ghost lingered, Emily's. Families. Our own self-inflicted wounds. Summer unfurled in Seattle like a reluctant debutante. The rare blue skies mocking the storms we'd weathered. Ethan and I dove into domesticity with the fervor of converts. His boxes finally unpacked in my walk-up. Now our walk-up? Shelves crammed with his dog-eared Kerouac beside my sci-fi paperbacks. Mornings meant shared showers. Steam fogging the mirror as we trace fog hearts on the glass. Initials intertwined. Evenings were picnics in Volunteer Park. Reservoir views stretching to the Cascades, where we'd feed each other strawberries and dodge frisbees from queer couples picnicking nearby. It felt like victory. This quiet rebellion. Pride Month banners fluttered from light poles. Rainbows splashed across storefronts. And for the first time, holding his hand in public didn't spark the old panic, just a thrill. Electric and free. We marched in the parade. Him in a tank that showed off his ink, a compass rose on his bicep, arrow pointing true north, me. The crowd roared, confetti raining like blessings, and in that sea of glitter and cheers, I believed we could outrun the shadows. But reckoning waits for no honeymoon phase. It slunk in via email. Innocuous at first, an invite to my 10-year high school reunion, Roosevelt's class of 15 alum bash at the Fremont Foundry. Come as your authentic self, the cheery graphic proclaimed, complete with cocktail emojis. Ethan grinned over my shoulder. Road trip vibe? Show them how it's done. I hesitated. Ghosts of lockers and crushes stirring. High school had been a pressure cooker. The awkward artist kids sketching in corners. The golden boy quarterback. Dates with cheerleaders a smokescreen for the confusion churning inside. We'd carpool together. Debriefing over post-game burgers at Dick's. His knee brushing mine under the booth, a spark we'd both ignore. Sure, I said finally. Let's crash it. The drive east to Bellevue was a nostalgia tour. Interstate 90 bridging lakes. Evergreens giving way to manicured suburbs. We blasted Springsteen. Windows down. His hand on my thigh a steady anchor. The venue loomed industrial chic. Exposed beams strung with Edison bulbs. Old classmates milling with name tags and Botox smiles. Eyes widened as we entered arm in linked arm. Murmurs rippling like pond stones. Jackson Reed? Ethan? My old lab partner. Sarah? Blinked. Hugging me stiffly. Together? Yep. Ethan's arm tightened around my waist. Proprietary. This is us. The night unfolded in waves, hugs from forgotten faces. Shots of fireball burning away awkwardness. But undercurrents pulled, guys who'd eyed me in the halls now averting gazes. Girls whispering behind wine glasses. Then Tyler emerged. Ex-quarterback turned real estate bro. Ethan's shadow from the gridiron days. Broad as a fridge. Grinnell teeth. He clapped Ethan on the back. Heard the wedding fizzled. Tough break. Man. Ethan's jaw ticked. Yeah. Found something better. Tyler's eyes slid to me. Calculating. Family discount. Bold move. Bro. The word bro landed like a slur. Laced with that casual homophobia frat boys peddled as jokes. Ethan stiffened. But I squeezed his hand, not here, and we drifted to the bar. Over IPAs. He vented low. Asshole always knew. Probably spread half the locker room rumors. Water under the bridge, I murmured, kissing his temple. But bridges burn easy. Later, buzzed and bold, we slipped to the rooftop for air. City sprawl twinkling below. Tyler followed. Solo now. Cigarette dangling. Real talk? You two are fucking up the narrative. Ethan whirled. Narrative? This ain't your rom-com. Ty. He exhaled smoke. Eyes narrowed. It's incest? Dude. Creepy as hell. People talk. Your dad called mine. Raging. Said you're tearing the family apart. The hit landed low. Dad's fragile piece fracturing in absentia. Mind your business, I snapped. Stepping forward. Tyler flicked his butt over the rail. Just saying. Emily dodged a bullet. Enjoy the fallout. He sauntered off, leaving venom in the air. We left early. The drive home silent fury. At a pullout overlooking Lake Washington, Ethan slammed the truck into park. He's right about one thing, the talk. It's everywhere. I climbed into his lap, straddling the console, thumbs brushing his stubble. We're solid. His hands gripped my hips. Grounding. Are we? Doubt flickered. What if this is just trauma porn? Us against the world. Because that's all we know. The question pierced, echoing the therapist's ghost. No. I kissed him fierce. Teeth nipping. Bodies pressing until the windows fogged. We made love in the cab. Urgent and reclaiming, his moans muffled against my neck. My nails raking his back. Release came gasping. But peace? Elusive. Fall brought harvest festivals and cooling rains. Our rhythm steadying. We hosted a barbecue for Mom, tentative. Just the three of us on the back deck. Grilling salmon and dodging Dad's elephant. She brought pie. Hugged us both. Even cracked a joke about double the trouble. Progress. Bittersweet. But betrayal's blade twists slow. It came via voicemail from an unknown. Jackson? It's Sarah from the reunion. Heads up, Tyler's posting pics. You and Ethan. Close ones. Tagged everyone. My stomach dropped. I pulled up Instagram. The app of Viper's nest. There we were, rooftop shot. Ethan's arms slung low on my waist. My head on his shoulder, innocent to us. Damning to eyes hunting scandal. Caption, family reunion goals? Or not? Roosevelt rejects, keeping the family comments piled. Laughing emojis. Prayer hands. Outright slurs. Shares rocketed. Pinging to family group chats. Old classmates. Even Emily's circle. Ethan found me on the bathroom floor. Phone clutched like a grenade. Check. It's out. Voice hollow. I showed him. His face drained. Scrolling the vitriol, sickos. Disown them. Pray for their souls. Mom called within minutes. Voice shaking. Ignore it. It's noise. But noise amplifies. Dad texted, this is why I warned you. Clean it up. Work turned hostile. A regular stiffed me on a tip. Muttering perv under his breath. Strangers stared on the bus. Recognition dawning. Climax crested that weekend. A confrontation at our door. Fella. Drunk and belligerent. Pounding like thunder. Open up. Freaks. Ethan yanked the door. Fury incarnate. What the fuck do you want? To talk sense into you. Tyler swayed. Breath boozy. This shit's viral. Your family's a joke. I wedged between. Heart pounding. Leave. Tunch. Fist connecting with Ethan's jaw, crack echoing like gunshot. Chaos erupted, Ethan tackling him down the stairs. Me yelling for neighbors to call cops. Sirens wailed distant. Tyler scrambling away as blue lights flashed. In the aftermath, Ethan's lips split. Ice pack blooming purple, cops took statements. Neighbors peeking like vultures. Hate crime, one asked. Jealous ex-friend, I muttered. They nodded. Filing reports? But the damage? Irreversible. That night, curled on the couch, Ethan winced through painkillers. This is my fault. Dragging you into... Stop. I straddled him gentle, kissing the bruise. We're in it. Together. He pulled me down. Lovemaking soft. Healing, whispers of I love you against skin. Body's a bulwark. But dawn brought clarity, viral meant media. Local news picked it up, Seattle brothers' taboo romance sparks backlash. Pundits pontificating on morning shows. Therapists opining on codependent trauma. We went dark, phones off. Blinds drawn. World shrinking to groceries and each other. Mom showed with groceries. Hugging fierce. Proud of you boys. He's trying. A card from Emily, strength. You're braver than they know. Isolation bred intimacy, but also rot. Doubts festered, Ethan's nightmares. Thrashing awake sweating, my panic attacks. Breath short in crowds. Are we poison? He asked one night. Staring at the ceiling. No, but the word wavered. The turning point came unbidden, a documentary filmmaker emailing. Inspired by your story. Humanizing queer family narratives. Skeptical? We met her at a cafe, rain pattering outside. Her notebook open like absolution. You're not alone, she said. Sharing tales of others, brothers, cousins. Bonds society shunned but souls craved. This isn't betrayal. It's truth. We agreed to the interview. Voices cracking on camera. Airing months later. It shifted tides, support flooded. Letters from kids like us. Saying you made us brave. But climax's shadow loomed larger. Dad's health declined, another scare. This time stroke, pulling us to his bedside. He gripped Ethan's hand. My next. Forgive an old fool. Love's love. Tears flowed. Forgiveness a bomb. Unbeamed. Family knitting loose. Yet betrayal's final twist waited. Ethan. Post-interview glow. Confessed over wine. I slept with Tyler. Senior year. Confused. He used it, always has. Rage boiled. Not at the act, youth's fumbling, but the weaponizing. He outed us to hurt you. Ethan nodded. Shamefaced. I ended it then. But yeah. We burned the photos from Emily. Ashes swirling in the sink like exorcism. No more secrets, I vowed. He kissed me. Deep and promising. No more. Autumn leaves carpeted the paths of Green Lake as we jogged them that October. Breaths puffing white in the crisp air. Ethan's bruise faded to a yellow memory. The viral storm had ebbed. Leaving flotsam, a podcast invite we declined. Fan mail we cherished in a shoebox. Life reclaimed us. Him starting at the Tacoma nonprofit. Commuting with podcasts on queer history. Me promoted to assistant manager at the bookstore. Shelving memoirs that mirrored our mess. Humanity's quiet work, mending. Mom hosted Thanksgiving. Dad carving turkey with unsteady hands. Toasts skirting edges but landing on gratitude. To family, he said. Eyes meeting ours, blood. chosen. Unbreakable. Emily visited once. Over coffee in Pioneer Square. Her new girlfriend, a tattooed barista with an infectious laugh. Happiness suits you, she said, hugging us both. No grudges. Just growth, a humanistic grace we'd earned through grit. But romance's fire demanded tending. We escaped to the San Juan Islands for our anniversary, 6 months since the whisper that wrecked and remade us. Ferry chugged through the straits, Orcas breaching distant, and on Orcas Island, we rented a cabin overlooking East Sound, wood smoke curling from chimneys below. Days blurred, kayaking glassy bays, his laughter echoing as seals bobbed curious, nights by the fireplace, bodies entwined, exploring with the leisure of lovers unhurried. One evening, sunset painting the straits crimson, he dropped to one knee on the dock, not for a ring, but a vow. Marry me. Not legal, not churchy. Just us. Forever. Tears pricked, joy sharp. Yes, we exchanged promises under stars, his lips sealing them, hands clasped like anchors. Back in Seattle, normalcy nested. We adopted a mutt from the shelter, Rusty, part lab. All loyalty, walks in Magnuson Park becoming ritual, his tail wagging counterpoint to our talks. Conflicts arose. Human scale, arguments over chores. His lateness from work. My snappish days. But make-up sex turned to make-up talks. Vulnerability the glue. Climax's echo faded, but one lingered, a letter from Tyler, forwarded by his lawyer, apology, laced with regret. I was scared of myself. Forgive? We burned it unread. Ashes to wind. Betrayal's scar, but not defining. Winter solstice brought ceremony, a backyard commitment. Mom officiating with hippie flair. Dad grilling sides. Emily toasting with Prosecco. Vows exchanged under string lights. I choose you. In fracture and fire. Rings, simple titanium bands. Engraved always, slipped on trembling fingers. Laughter flowed. Tears too. A tapestry of love's labor. Spring bloomed reconciliation full. Dad joined us for a hike in the Issaquahs. Creaky knees no match for his grin as we summit. Vista sprawling. Proud, he grunted, clapping our backs. Mom started a support group, queer families. Unspoken bonds, drawing others from shadows. Yet depth demanded darkness. One night, storm raging, Ethan woke screaming, nightmare of loss. Me vanishing like mist. I held him, rocking. What if we regret? He whispered, voice small. I kissed his brow. Regrets for cowards. We're warriors. To watery. Cheesy. Yours. Lovemaking followed. Tender, fingers interlaced. Gazes locked. Release a shared sigh. Emotional bedrock, not perfection, but persistence. Summer solstice. A year post-whisper. We hosted a block party, rain held off. Neighbors mingling wary to warm. Rusty chased kids. Grill smoked. And in the crowd, Ethan pulled me aside. Behind the garage. Still the one. Always. This world fading. But humanism's heart ripples beyond us. The documentary aired nationally, sparking dialogues, op-eds on taboo love, school panels on identity. Letters poured. A teen in Alabama? Your story saved me. We mentored quietly. Coffees with runaways. Ethan's nonprofit swelling. One crisp fall day. Leaf peeping in the Cascades. Conflict crested soft. A crossroads. Job offer for me. Curator gig in New York. Ethan's old haunt. Go, he urged. Eyes shining. We'll bridge it. Temptation tugged. Fresh starts. Escape velocity. But roots held. No. With you. He kissed me fierce. Against a pine trunk. My home. Betrayal's ghost? Emily announced pregnancy, hers and her girlfriend's, joy laced with ache. We sent a stroller. Card-reading aunt/uncle love. Healing arc. Circular. Climax resolved in quiet, dad's remission. Mom's book club on our story, Tyler's distant fade. We bought a house, fixer-upper in Wallingford. Craftsman echo of childhood, hammering walls together. Sweat and swear words bonding. Years folded, Rusty's gray muzzle. Our first anniversary hike. Whispers in dawn light. You're the one, he'd murmur. Hand on my heart. And I, tracing his scar, always. In America's vast weave, flawed. Fierce, we carved haven. Not fairy tale, but real. Love as verb. Betrayal as teacher. Emotions tide lifting all. Brothers. Lovers. Survivors. The end? Just beginning.